Hey folks, Mark Smith here, host of the Four Boxes Diner, constitutional attorney, and proud American gun owner. If you haven't subscribed to the Four Boxes Diner, please do so. I want to talk a little bit about why are these anti-gunners saying that you and I should lose our right to keep and bear arms because some psychopathic, crazy nut job shot up a school in Uvalde, Texas. Let's see if there's something else that the government could have been doing that it didn't do. Well, let's start with the fact that maybe they should lock the doors of school buildings. Remember, the shooter who was outside the building for over 10 minutes shooting was able to get into the school by virtue of an unlocked, propped open door. Second of all, this is not the first time some crazy nut job has shot up a school or anything else. There have been massive reports and studies about how to stop this in the future. It's been reviewed before. We know, for example, the first type of school shooting was at Columbine by two people that were known mental ill people who were on these psychotropic drugs, I believe. And what happened in Columbine was that the police treated this as a typical hostage situation where they set up a perimeter and they didn't go in, and this allowed the active shooters to kill more students. But after Columbine, we've learned, and it is protocol for the police to immediately go in to try to engage the active shooter so that they kill themselves, you kill them, or they otherwise surrender. It's all about speed. We know this. In fact, the last major school shooting was in Parkland, Florida. They spent 1 year studying what to do to stop another Parkland school shooting. And guess what that massive Parkland report concluded? The massive Parkland report concluded, which I'll link to down below, said that we should have armed security in the form of armed administrators or school teachers or whatnot in the building. That's what the Parkland report recommended. But obviously, it appears that in Texas, there was no armed person in the building at all. Third point I want to make is, can our society afford to protect our children? The answer is, of course we can. Let's just take one observation here. We know that based on initial estimates, at least, that the United States government left behind somewhere between 338,000 and 600,000 various forms of small arms, including rifles and the like, in Afghanistan when we abandoned the country, and many, if not all of those firearms have fallen into the hands of the Taliban. I would make the case that we here in America would prefer for those guns to be in the hands of individuals protecting our schools instead of the Taliban. Now, I want to do some quick math, back of the napkin math here. Right now, there's approximately 91,000 public schools in the United States. We left behind somewhere between 300 and 600,000 small arms in Afghanistan, which again, the Taliban took over quite a few of that, if not all of them. If you do mind back of the napkin math, that means that if we'd simply brought back the small arms that we gave to the Taliban or left for the Taliban, that would give somewhere between 3 and 6 firearms per school that could be used to defend our children, our American children, instead of allowing them to be defenseless victims at the hands of some psychopathic, nut job, crazy person like we saw, last week. The last point I want to make, which other people have made before me, is can we afford to pay for security? Well, we just gave $40 billion, I repeat, that's $40 billion with a B, dollars, to Ukraine to defend Ukraine. I have nothing against Ukraine. We've talked about Ukraine on this channel. I'm not anti-Ukraine or anything like that. But I do want to make the observation that if we have $40 billion to give to Ukraine, maybe we should give it to the 91,000 public schools in America. Now, again, by my back of the napkin math, if you take the 91,000 public schools in America and you divide up the $40 billion, that's over $400,000 per public school in the United States that we could have used to hire a few armed security guards, maybe some metal detectors, maybe other steps to harden. Guess what? Seems like that would have been a better use of our $40 billion than to send it overseas. Finally, I just want to say that I want to remind everybody that when President Biden and Vice President Harris talk about denying us our ability to have various forms of firearms, I want to remind you of two things. First of all, when the police respond to an active shooting situation, guess what they bring with them? They bring with them rifles that have 30-round magazines. They bring with them handguns that have 17 or more rounds and magazines almost inevitably. So why is it when the police are responding to a psychopath in a crazy active shooting situation, why do they get weaponry? Why do they get arms? Why do they get ammunition and magazines that they want to deny us when we are really the first responders? Never forget this. The police are not first responders. That is not true. We, as Americans, are the first responders because we are the ones that have to respond first to the crime, that have to respond first to the criminal. We respond first to the fire. We respond first to the sick person. We are the first responders. The police and the other government agents are second or third responders because we reach out to them and then we hope they show up. So the question is, or my point is this, if the second and third responders get to have the proper weapons that we Americans have a right to, why is anyone talking about denying us the ability to those same weapons that they bring to an active shooter situation when in all likelihood we are going to have to confront those psychopathic killers first before the police do? Okay, just a few observations. We'll be getting back to our normal studio soon, but for now I'm shooting this outside. So hopefully you've learned something here today at the Four Boxes Diner. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We'll talk to you soon.